Okay, so this is going to be a pre-review review of these two REV'IT boots here. This is the Expedition boot, and then this is the Discovery boot. So I'm doing a pre-review review. Why am I doing a pre-review review? Because I haven't actually gone on my trip yet. And I ordered these boots for my trip, but there's an issue with this boot that I haven't seen anybody talk about online. And so I thought and actually this issue has caused me to order this boot, because I was thinking like, okay, well, maybe these boots are not going to work. I'll order this boot and see if this will work. And so I'm going to talk about that issue in this video. And because I might return one of these boots. And obviously, if I'm going to return them, I can't wear them out on the street. Fortnite's got some really strict restrictions on returning, so I can't actually wear these on the street if I want to return them. So I've just been, walking around my living room, going up and down some stairs to see which one I feel most comfortable with. And then whichever one I decide I'm going to keep, I'm going to return the other one. But before I do that, I want to talk about this issue because, like I said, I haven't seen anyone else talk about it before. I know I sound like a YouTuber there, like, make sure you watch to the end of the video for the issue. Fuck that shit. The issue is this thing. It's too wide here. It's too wide to get over my pants. That's the issue. If you don't want to watch any further, turn off. Now you know the issue. But like, honestly, I haven't seen anyone talk about this. This thing here is super wide. I'll measure it to show you how like the circumference, the diameter is super thick. I can't get my riding jeans over top of it. That's the issue. So let me backtrack a little bit. If you watch my videos, you know that this is the boot that I primarily wear. This is, I don't know, some Italian company or whatever. A very comfortable boot, nothing wrong with it, but there's like no protection to this boot whatsoever. It's just like a street boot, right? Oh, it's called TCX. The thing I didn't like about this boot, though, is it's not actually waterproof. They advertise that it's waterproof, but it's not actually waterproof. Other than that, I mean, perfectly fine, perfectly comfortable, nice boot for riding around the street. But what caused me to think about, picking up a different set of boots was two things. One is that Alaska rains a lot. I didn't know this, but in doing my research for this trip, it turns out Alaska rains a lot, and July is like a really rainy month in Alaska. And these things are not waterproof. They're kind of water resistant, but if you go ride for a couple hours, water does get in. And so I was thinking like, well, okay, I don't want to be dealing with that in Alaska, like my feet being wet. And so that's why I started looking at something a little bit more waterproof. And the second thing that prompted me to look at a different boot was in Mexico. If you watch my Mexico trip, you know that this happened. What you don't know in that video is I actually crashed again for the second time in that exact same area riding back to my hotel. So if you watch this sequence here, I turn in on this road, I ride down this road, through this part here is totally fine, and then I crash here when the sand gets really deep. I spent all this time getting my bike out, and then I just, okay, that's done, and then I ride back. And in the video, it just shows that I ride back, I get on the tarmac, and I go to my hotel. What you didn't see, because I didn't record it, was I actually crashed again a second time heading back to the tarmac. And what happened was, as I was heading back, in my mind, I kind of thought, okay, well, the sand part is over. It's over there. It's behind me now. And I'd ridden to that sand area, and I didn't notice any sand. So I was like, okay, there's not much sand. The deep sand is behind me, so I can just give it the beans and get back to the tarmac, and I'd be all good to go. So I'm giving it the beans. I'm going along, not really paying attention to the ground, and I hit another deep patch of sand, and the bike went down. And previous to this day, earlier in that day, I actually was in the town of Laredo, and I met a guy who was riding a 1200 GS, and he had done the same loop from Laredo to the Mission Navier, San Francisco, whatever that's called, and then all the way down to Highway 1. That's the route that I was contemplating what I was going to do. If you watch the Mexico video, I explained a little bit more detail there. And what happened to him was he was doing a water crossing over this like cemented area, and there was algae on the cement, and his bike slipped out and landed on him and broke his ankle. And he was wearing he told me like a proper, not quite a motocross boot, but like I think it was a kind of city boot or something like that, and broke his ankle. And he's told me he was there for 4 hours just lying in the Mexican sun waiting for emergency to come. And then he had to fly home to Seattle, I think it's from Seattle, and then after his ankle healed up, drive his truck all the way back down to Mexico, pick up his bike, and then drive all the way back. So he told me, he said, if you're around that area, be careful, because if you have an accident, it's pretty remote. And so that's the other reason why I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to do that route there because, I don't want to ride from Canada to Mexico in my car all the way back and all that. And I was also thought, like if my bike lands on my ankle with these boots on, forget about it. My ankle is gone, right? So that was all on my mind. And then I crashed again and I felt my bike land on my ankle. And I was like, oh no, like what are the odds of that happening? I met this dude. He tells me what happened to him. Same thing happens to me. But luckily for me, I wasn't on concrete. I was in soft sand. So I felt the bike land on my ankle, but I felt my foot digging, like go into the sand. I think that's what saved my ankle. And my foot just sunk into the sand. The bike sunk down on it. I had to like dig all the sand out to try to drag my foot out. But that wasn't in the video because I didn't film that. But that's when I got back. That's what prompted me to think about, okay, you know what? It's time I pony up for a better boot. Most of my riding is road anyways, but to be honest, even on the road, this thing doesn't really provide a lot of protection anyways, right? So, but I mean, most of my riding is on the roads. I don't really need I don't feel like I need a really hardcore boot. I probably would sacrifice a bit of protection for comfort, just due to the type of riding that I ride. So anyways, I started to think about all the boots, doing all this research. There's no shortage of videos on boots and all that kind of stuff. And so I ended up buying this thing here. This is called the REV'IT Super Expensive. No, it's called the REV'IT Expedition GTX. The nickname for it is crazy expensive because it's like $1,000 boot. But why did I buy this crazy $1,000 boot? Because I'm a little bit paranoid about, I have a torn meniscus in my knee. I'm getting old and it's really bugging me that things are starting to go wrong. My vision's starting to get all fucked up now. It's so annoying. I used to be able to hold my phone here. Now I got to hold it here. It's so annoying. I got a torn meniscus in my knee and like, it's not healing like I used to heal when I was young, so I got to be careful of that. And so I'm like, man, if I break my ankle, I don't want to be hobbling around, you know, like an old man. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to pony up the dough and get a decent boot. And from what I read online, now granted, you have to take all these YouTubers and all these reviews with a grain of salt, but from what I read online, this boot seems to be as close to a motocross boot as you can get, but while still providing the comfort of, say, a touring boot. You don't want a full-on motocross boot. I don't want a full-on motocross boot because they look uncomfortable and I don't like the fact that they squeak. I don't want to be off the bike walking around squeaking around everywhere. So I wanted something that was as close to that, but not that hardcore. And from what I read online, this seems to fit the bill. So I was like, okay, well, it's retardedly expensive, but I'll get it. So I ordered this boot. It arrived. Looks great. You know, I like this. The ankle protection is like really good. It's like super solid. You got this piece of plastic over here. Overall, and like the whole bottom part here feels really good. And I actually like that the toe box here doesn't feel really big. I had the pair of the CD Adventure boots before, and the toe box was so massive I couldn't even get them under my shifter. I made a video on that when I had the donkey before, if you want to watch that. But this thing here doesn't feel very big. I haven't tried it on the bike yet because, like I said, I wasn't sure if I was going to keep it. And but overall, I gotta say, like, this thing feels really solid. It feels like that it offers a lot of protection. Certainly around the ankle here, this shin thingy here. It's not, you can't really like twist it, like bend it or anything like that. It's a little flexible this way, but there isn't actually like a pad, like a whatever, like some kind of plate behind here that I actually can't squish it. You can't like bend it like this. So I thought, okay, well, this thing feels pretty good, you know, for like, feels like a lot of protection for a touring boot. However, what I didn't realize, and I've never seen anyone mention this, is this part here is massive. This diameter is humongous. This thing really sticks out really far, and I can't get my jeans, my riding jeans, over top of it. My jeans got to go, like, just sit there all bunched up or go inside. And I don't know, do people wear that with your jeans inside? Doesn't that look kind of weird? I don't know, like, I never thought about that. I actually Googled, like, do you wear your jeans inside your pants? Like, I don't know, like, I don't know, like, is that okay? Or, I mean, I suppose it doesn't really matter, but it just, like, I just never crossed my mind, like, do you wear your jeans inside or outside? I think I would prefer to wear my jeans on the outside, right? But anyway, so I was like, okay, well, that's, no, I wasn't expecting that. And so I was like, well, let me try ordering these. Because I looked online, and these are the GTX, or these are the REV'IT, almost as expensive, also known as the Discovery. That's the Expedition. This is the Discovery. So I thought, okay, these are a little bit cheaper. If they provide just as much protection, but then this area is a bit narrower, and I can get my jeans over it, I'll just go with these boots. Because I do actually kind of feel like this boot is a bit overkill for the type of riding I do, because I'm primarily on the road anyways. So I thought, okay, well, this boot is probably good enough for me. And if I can get my jeans over it, I'll order this boot. So I ordered this boot. very comfortable. Not quite as much protection as this one. The ankle is a little bit more flexible. It's a little bit softer. There's not quite as much protection. I can just feel like, just feels a little bit softer and like a little bit more squishy, you know, so it's not quite as much protection. Still a very, very well made boot. Both of them feel like a very good quality boot. But same problem is this area, it's because of this buckling system here. This buckling system, I don't know what they call this thing, the BOA system, this little knobby here. So this thing has to go around the knob, and they got this little puck here to try to, you know, add protection. So that adds a lot of length, I guess you said. Like that increases the diameter of this opening here. And as a result, even with this one, I can't get my jeans over top of this boot. If you have some different riding jeans, you got like a boot cut or like some big ass bell bottom from the 70s or something like that, you could probably get over it. But for me, wearing these jeans that I wear, I couldn't get my jeans over top of this boot. Now, luckily for me, I've got a new pair of riding pants from a company called Griffin Moto. They sent me a bunch of gear to test out for my trip to Africa. So I'll be posting a review of all my gear. So I actually do have, on this trip, I won't be wearing these jeans. I'll be wearing these riding pants, and they fit over it no problem. So if you wear these kind of textile riding pants, they will fit no problem. It's just that, you know, I was originally thinking I would just toss these out and I would just use, you know, either one of these all the time. But when I'm riding around town, I don't want to wear riding pants. I want to wear my jeans, and then I can't with these, right? So that's what I'm kind of at right now, is that I'm going to send one of these back. I haven't quite decided yet which one I'm going to send back. I'm kind of wearing both of them around the house, trying to see which one I feel more comfortable with. But I'll post the full review of how they do on the trip, obviously when I come back from my trip. But I wanted to make this segment here because I wasn't sure which one I was going to keep. And I just wanted to discuss that issue, that if you are thinking about buying either the REV'IT super expensive or the REV'IT almost as expensive, just know that you can't fit your jeans over top of it. Yeah, so I just wanted to make that video in case some of you are thinking about buying one of these boots and you do like to wear riding jeans, that, you know, unless you have a different style of jean, you're not going to be able to fit it over top of these boots. And if that's something that you like to do, then you might have to consider a different pair of boots. But just something to consider, actually, if you're thinking about buying these boots. So anyways, yeah, I'm getting ready to leave for my trip to Alaska in a week or so. And then when I come back from Alaska, I'll do a full review of probably this one here, whichever boot I decide to take with me on my trip.